Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Albuquerque, New Mexico, the home of Pro Tour Ixalan, as we kick off the 2018 Pro season. I'm your host, Rich Hagan, alongside co-anchor Maria Bartholdi and the fabulous Mr. Simon Gertzen, Pro Tour champion, of course, from 2010. So we're going to get you into draft. We're about 10 minutes away from the draft of the morning. Simon, let's start with you, though. A very strange day one. What were your feelings coming out of day one?
A bit of surprise, but also at the same time a lot of things we expected. So we saw Teamer Energy as the top deck of the format, and then people going away from the mainstream strategies of Teamer Energy, Ramen Up Red, and building crazy decks, basically. I've seen mono-white vampires, I've seen riddle form decks, I've seen red-white approach. This is just a metagame where people are trying to attack the top dog of the format.
Okay, Maria, what are you looking forward to as we head into day two?
I want to see some more draft, Rich. I love Limited, and it's really cool to see this kind of more developed format. The pros have drafted it hundreds of times now, but we still get a unique insight on their kind of take on the format. Like yesterday, we saw a 3-0 drafter draft a Blightkeeper over a contract killing.
Yeah, we certainly did. Now, why don't we take a look at our overall leaderboard as things stand overnight? We've had 8 rounds already. That was 3 rounds of draft and then 5 rounds of constructed. So here is your overall leaderboard. By the nature of the format, you play against someone on the same record. That means fewer and fewer people have a perfect record. We are down to 2. It's Piotr Glogowski of Poland and Yam Wing Chun of Team MTG Mint. They are your 2 8-0s. You see the rest of the 7-1s right the way down to Mike Sigrist in 16th place. Those will form the 2 prime draft pods this morning. And then you see the 6-1-1, a draw there for Pascal Menard. That was on camera. I wonder if Tim and Riley have anything to tell us about that, because they were down in the feature match area and in and around all the top action throughout the day. Tim, Riley, what are your takes on day one?
Well, the feature match area had a whole host of action, as one might expect from any Pro Tour, but I think this one had a couple of key elements that really excited me. So we kicked things off with the draft format, and there we got a chance to see, well, I guess the key differences between the way that draft plays out online versus in real life. A little bit more hate drafting, some kind of scrappier decks in the mix there. But at the same time, some real standout highlights. I mean, even in the likes of round 1, we got to see Ken Yukihiro with a deck with no red sources that I could see, but a Burning Sun's avatar coming down right on time every single turn. Fantastic stuff in Limited, and the surprises kept on coming in Constructed too.
That's right. I mean, Teamer Energy has obviously sort of dominated the format. It's dominated the conversation surrounding Standard, and many players, Tim, they had the choice of either beating them or joining them, essentially, and we had a lot of people joining the Teamer and flying that Teamer flag, but of course there's been all sorts of decks that have been gunning for the big dog of Standard. We've had Anointed Procession decks, we've had Godfarer's Gift, we've had Approach of the Second Sun, and I know that you've been very big on the new Vampires deck that's popped up here.
Yeah, turns out mono-white Vampires, you don't necessarily need to be big to be aggressive. You can go wide, you can get a little bit of lifelink going on, get lots of creatures on board, and just power out Teamer before they can get too much going. Now, of course, we are expecting to see plenty more Teamer in the feature match area today. Some of the big teams are playing it, but at the same time, they've got to watch out because there are some other decks that are gunning for them.
Tim and Riley, well, there's a lot of really unique individual stories going on around this PT. We get to see a lot of first-timers making their first run, some people getting into our top 8 currently as it stands on the leaderboard. But of course, there's also the team series that we're watching.
Right, and the team series, for those of you who don't know, teams of 6 players come in, and the top 5 for each team counts towards their overall end-of-season score. So every pro point you gain, if you're in your top 5 of the 6 in the teams, that gets you towards your team total. And again, on day 1, you're not really gaining points, you're just trying to get everyone through to day 2 on 4-4 or better.
All right, so Brian David Marshall is standing by to give us a look at what the team leaderboard looks like right now.
You can see it right behind me here, the team leaderboard, and Team Channel Fireball just with that 38-10 record on day 1 across 6 players. That's just insane. 3 players on 7-1. Apparently people, even on the team, were getting tired of hearing Ben Stark rave about how well his team did last night. This is really a team that is used to having incredibly dominant Pro Tours, and they were all like, wow, I don't know that we've ever started a tournament off this well before as a team. So pretty incredible. A couple other teams, Team Genesis, this is a team that was in the finals of the Pro Tour Team Series in year one. Here they are. Brian Browndew and Seth Manfield, a pair of world champions, leading the pack for them at 6-2 each. And they're in good shape, looking to get back to the Pro Tour Team Series finals at the World Championship next year. A couple other teams, Eureka with Panagatos Papadopoulos and Alexei Telerov, both players at 6-2. But the team I really want to talk about here is MTG Mint Card. This is a team that had a pretty good finish last year, but really it's kind of the individual person I want to talk about, Yam Wing Chun. This is a guy who ended his last tournament. I mean, everyone but one person ends their tournament on a loss, right? But it's Yam Wing Chun who had that heartbreaking loss at the last Pro Tour, and you know what? He decided he didn't want to lose anymore. 8-0, carries his team to 4th place here in the Pro Tour Team Series, and you got to shout out Team Tower Games here for Maria Bartholdi. She called this shot from the desk yesterday. This is a team of a lot of first-timers, grinders, people looking to live the dream here on the Pro Tour, and Samuel Ehlenfeld, what a great job by him in his first Pro Tour. You can look your way down the standings there. You see a couple of other notable teams. One notable team you do not see on the top 8 is Team Musashi, the winner of the first year of the Pro Tour Team Series. And they're not 9th, they're not 10th, they're not 11th. They're in 23rd place right now, and 2 players down here on day 2. 2 players didn't make it through, so working with a 4-person squad here on day 2 to close some ground. So that's a look at the team series here at Pro Tour Ixalan.
Yeah, that Musashi is a huge story. 24-21 and a single draw. 2 huge names out the door. They won't be adding to any points for the team. So maybe they're taking pity on the rest of us, Maria, and giving us a bit of a head start.
I mean, they were so dominant last year. Nobody could catch them at the end of the last Pro Tour. And of course, they took the whole thing home. So they were just a favorite coming into this tournament. And I guess we'll have to keep our eye on them the rest of the year.
For sure. Well, our feature match pod is just about ready. So we're going to hand you down to the floor. So let's take a look at the 8 players who are seated in the feature match area getting ready to draft for you. So away we go, Maria. You've got Piotr Glogowski on the left there, and then round we go.
All right, you can see Yam Wing Chun there with the look on his face, just staring down at his packs, getting ready to draft. He's one of our 2 8-0 players right there. Sitting next to him, I believe that's Guillaume Matignon.
Yep, the 2010
World
co-player of the year, as it were. Yep.
All right, making our way around the table, Chi Win Tao sitting there. You can see Team MTG Sheep, a Silver Pro 3 GP top 8s. And there's a look at Sam Ehlenfeld. We've been mentioning him.
So that's your local guy, right?
That's my friend Sam, yep, sitting at 7-1, first Pro Tour. And sitting next to, well, our past Pro Tour champion, Paulo Vitor Dama de Rosa. Right there you can see him looking to maybe run it back here at this tournament.
And that brings us back to our 8-0 player, Piotr Glogowski. And next to him, it's Brad Maxwell, who finished out at 7-1. Now, we, in a little while, are going to show you every pick of every pack of Paulo Vitor Dama de Rosa. Simon and Maria will walk you through all that. But live, how about 8-0 time? Let's find out how the path to redemption goes for the Red Mage. That is Yam Wing Chun. It's draft time here on Saturday morning.
And thank you, Rich. Welcome back to the booth here at Pro Tour Ixalan. That's Paul Chiana, Marshall Sutcliffe. And you know what's coming. It's draft o'clock here at the Pro Tour. We've got one more draft to do. That's today. And then once we're done with it, it's standard for the rest of the run. So for you limited fans, this is it. This is the time. We're going to be watching Yam Wing Chun here as he works his way through this draft. Let's head on down. It's time for draft number 2 here from Pro Tour Ixalan. Hello and welcome back to coverage here at Pro Tour Ixalan. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Paul Chian, and we've got our second draft of the weekend all lined up for you here in our feature pod. We are going to be watching Yam Wing Chun from Hong Kong. Take a look at Yam here. And Paul, is he going to do the thing?
You know he's going to do
just
it.
Is, right?
That's just a way of life.
Yeah.
Still rolling yourself.
So Yam, when he draws his cards when he's playing, he'll put it behind the rest and look at it really slow. Let's see if he does it here too.
What? Oh, no. He's
all
actually
business so far.
Oh, well.
Well, okay, so first things first, Paul, he's found himself a very nice card here with Charging Monstrosaur.
Yeah.
There's a few other cards in this here too that are pretty decent, but Charging Monster Sword, you know, we call it the mythic uncommon.
Yeah, just probably the best uncommon in this set. This card is just completely busted. The stats, just 5 mana, 5/5 trample haste, not much more you can ask for there. I think he's just looking at other standout cards, Water Trap Weaver being one of the better cards in the pack, but I can't imagine him not taking the Charging Monster Sword here. It's just way too good on rate.
Yeah, that little picture, that little dude running away, that's your opponent.
One thing we found out in the previous Pro Tour is Yam Wing Chun, even when he plays on Magic Online, has a little piece of paper on his monitor where his draw step is supposed to be, and makes it so he covers his top deck so he can slowly peel back the piece of paper to see what he draws.
I almost didn't believe it, but it is true. Let's see what he's got here. It looks like there's a Tempest Caller at the back. Now, I know that's going to catch Yam's eye because he was looking at the Water Trap Weaver that he opened. He had that pulled to the front. But as far as on-color picks go, Headstrong Brute looks like that.
Yeah, Dark Nourishment is also pretty solid removal effect, but in Headstrong Boot just kind of keeps you on color. And, you know, Yam Wing Chun starting out with a red card. Been just playing mono red the last Pro Tour and this Pro Tour. Just
wait, yeah, he's playing any constructed too, isn't he?
That's right. He's just all in. You live one way.
I guess
you
so.
slow roll yourself and you draft red cards.
All right, well, a solid start here for Yam. And let's see if the red cards continue to flow, because that's really the big question that he's going to be facing here.
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what exactly the draft style Yam Wing Chun will favor. I know a lot of members of Team MTG Min Card do like the hyper-aggressive strategy of taking 1-drops along with the auras like Swashbuckling and One with the Wind.
I can tell that Yam has a certain affinity for the Merfolk deck as he keeps referencing those, and in fact is going to take a Merfolk here over the Frenzied Raptor as well. It looks like he really is interested in moving into green here. Of note, there was a River Herald Spoon in that pack.
Right, and taking premium 2-drops is really important in the format. There's a glut at the 3-mana slot, and the Frenzied Raptor is a fine 3-drop, but I think just the power level of the Deeper Warriors high enough that you can just
warrant a color switch?
Right, exactly.
Okay, interesting. Now, there's an Unfriendly Fire in this pack. We also see another copy of Frenzied Raptor. And then, look, if Yam feels that green is where he wants to be to pair up with his Charging Monster Sword, there is a Grazing Whiptail, though. I would be tempted just to take Unfriendly Fire here.
Yeah. What's funny about this card is it looks great, but I've seen a lot of people just decide to pass on this card for cheaper cards just because kind of the nature of the format where people are just looking to take all these low drops and be aggressive.
Yeah.
But Unfriendly Fire is still a great card.
I agree. I think the first Unfriendly Fire should be, I think that's a very good pickup. The second one I can understand if you're going to start making some curve picks because it is a little pricey.
Yeah. And here I think Colossal Dreadmaw is really the only solid card left in the pack, so I imagine he's going to take that to kind of try to settle into a kind of an aggressive red-green deck.
Yeah, I mean, Dinos.
Yeah, the red-green Dinos.
Yeah.
Get in there.
It is one of the key archetypes in the format. Though I will say that it has slid down the archetype rankings, and I think it's at the bottom, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. I think kind of after the format's shaken out over the past month, most people have just kind of come to the conclusion that Vampires and Merfolk are kind of where you want to be. It just has the most synergistic payoffs. So those, the best versions of decks generally are in those two archetypes. But that is a pretty late Unfriendly Fire.
Very late.
So I think these do seem like the colors that are open for Yam Wing Chun.
Yeah.
There were a couple of Charter courses earlier on in the draft, which is pretty solid if you draft a deck with a bunch of evasion. It's just a good way to get card advantage. But I think this is a format where you just kind of want to attack.
Here he's got a Stormfleet Pyromancer, which is pretty mediocre.
Yeah, it's a pretty mediocre.
It's also just expensive.
Yeah, it's expensive. He's already got a lot of tap end. I don't mind playing this card if I don't have many 5s, but he's already got a couple of copies of Unfriendly Fire. He's got that Charging Monster Sword and the Colossal Dreadmaw. So I don't think he's really looking for a card like the Pyromancer. He'll play it if he has to, but I think he's really looking to lower his curve. I think one of the dream cards for him to pick up would be a card like the Otepec Huntmaster.
Or Drover.
Or the, right, of course, the Drover. I'm not dreaming big enough.
Yeah. Yeah, Drover actually lets him cast those Unfriendly Fires a little early, too.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Crash the Ramparts, it actually does a reasonable job in this deck as well. It looks a little bit expensive, but you do get your mana's worth out of Crash the Ramparts. Doesn't compare well to the other combat tricks in the format, but it is raw power.
Yeah. And I think at this point,
shot.
Yam is probably really looking to lower his curve, but so far he just hasn't seen anything that costs 2 or less outside of that Deeper Warriors.
Yeah, which he took.
Yeah, yeah, he
knows.
He took it early.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's okay, though. You know, to be honest, like, the power level of his deck's pretty good at this point. He's got multiple unfriendly fires, a charging monster sword in there. He is going to need to focus on that as we work our way into the second and third.
Right.
packs.
It's just currently we just haven't seen any, so
Yep.
it's just one of those things. Just sometimes the packs just aren't in your favor that way. But we have a couple more packs, and Yam Wing Chun I think has done a pretty good job of cutting off red. So fully expect them to get rewarded in the next pack.
And he's winding down pack number 1 here. Picking up a few sideboard cards, Demolish, a Dual Shot. There's another one.
Dual Shot is a pretty nice sideboard card, actually. I've been pleasantly surprised at how often I kind of bring that card in, especially against like the MERFOLK deck with multiple Shaper's Apprentice.
Also a possibility that if he is in red-green dinosaurs by the end of this thing, well, you know, it does work with Enrage. You know,
Yeah.
Get a free trigger here or there if you kill something small.
That's a standard playable card, last pick.
It is. Not going to make the cut here for Yam. So here's a review period. Yam's going to get a minute or two here to take a look at his picks. And the thing that's going to stand out to him the most, and it won't be a surprise to him, is his curve.
Yeah, he's got some reasonable power here. He's got the Mythic Uncommon and the Charging Monster Star. He's got Reach as well with the 2 copies of the Unfriendly Fire and even the Colossal Dreadmaw. So he's not really looking to add power to the top of his curve. He really just wants to get those 2s and 3s. So I wouldn't be surprised if he just foregoes taking more powerful 5 and 6 drops for just taking, multiple more copies of, Deep-Root Warrior, for example.
Yeah, Deep-Root Warrior is a card he would pick over a Colossal Dreadmaw, any of those types of cards at this point. Though there is a line. If he opens another Charging Monster Sword, he's
yeah.
Go ahead and take
There is a point, where you do. Maybe you show some restraint. Maybe you do take.
God, no.
What if you have like 4 Charging Monster Swords?
Look, man, the day
At
that
what
I
point-
have to show restraint and not take a Charging Monster Sword is when I say, I think I'm done here. We had a good run, Magic, but...
Look, I don't even know what's right anymore. I saw Blightkeeper over Contract Killing, and that drafter went 3-0. So, I mean, I at this point, I don't even know what's right. So,
All right, pack number 2 coming up here for Yam. We got a chance to watch Yam win his last match yesterday.
oh, well, we got...
That is Vance's Blasting
Vance's
Cannon.
Blasting Cannon and a Thematic Compass.
Thank you, Yam. Yes, you're supposed to show it to the people
No, showing it to the camera.
at the
That's
table,
great.
but Yam, he's keeping us in mind. Thank you.
All right.
Yam. All right, there's a Fire Cannon Blast. That's a good start. What else does he find?
He's so polite, too. He just puts it all up to the top so we can get a clear visual of what he's thinking about.
Look, we love Yam. Yam loves us.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, it looks like a Fire Cannon Blast is the pick here, and it fits the bill reasonably. Again, those 2 drops he's still going to want, but, you're not going to pass a good removal spell, I don't think, at this point.
Yeah. The Ravenous Daggertooth is like a fine card, but I think it's just much weaker on power level compared to the Fire Cannon Blast. That I think he just has to take the removal spell here.
Yeah, fine pickup.
Yeah. And it's still a 3-drop, right? If you're on the draw and your opponent plays something, you can still play a spell on turn 3, which is super important.
Yam says we're going to the right this turn.
Drafting 101.
Uh-huh. All right. Pack 2, pick 2. There's another
3-drop
brew.
right at the top of the...
Now, he did get past the Vance's Blasting Cannons.
Oh, okay.
Blasting Cannons. And there's also a Tishana's Wayfinder. Of note, there's a Walk the Plank. It's not really going to factor in for Yam here, but...
I think I like the Tishana's Wayfinder here because
I do too.
He does kind of want the land a lot of the time because he has cards higher up on the curve. He's not really a pirate deck because he's red-green. So oftentimes the Headstrong Brute is just going to be a 3-mana 3/3 that can't block.
Now, wait a minute. You got to talk about Vance's Blasting Cannons too, right?
Well,
Sweet red rare.
It is a sweet red rare, but his deck is already pretty clunky as is. So I don't think I would want to play the Vance's Blasting Cannon.
Agree.
There are decks that could play it, but just given the overall power level at the top of Yam's curve, that's not a card that I would be looking to play.
Yeah, I when we first saw it, we thought, oh, wow, that card's great. But it has gone down in value for me.
Just really depends on how slow. Oh, there's another one.
Is that another Vance's Blasting Cannons?
Yeah, but I imagine he's going to take the Thrasher Raptors here. You're red-green. You're going to have a decent amount of dinosaurs. Just fits the curve a little bit better. Not a lot of other options here. He's looking at that Mark of the Vampire, just thinking, man.
I feel bad for Vance. He built these sweet Blasting Cannons and nobody cares.
Nobody's using them. He's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, instead, it is.
There's a decent chance one of them just tables.
There's a good chance, I would say, because it is legendary. Like, the second one has, like, very low utility. Right. The first one's not even that great, so.
All right, some
That's
cheap
an
cards.
interesting one.
I have not seen a red or green 2-drop. Just zero.
No. But he is looking at a Blossom Dryad here, which could be interesting. That can set him up for the turn 4 Monstrosaur or Unfriendly Fire.
Yeah, and there's a great dinosaur payoff card in this pack in Priest of the Awakening Sun, but it's a white card. Doesn't quite go into his deck. So yeah, he's gonna take. I don't think he necessarily wants to play the Blossom Dryad, but you gotta, play what you can get. And right now, he has seen 0 good 2 or 3 mana cards that are red or green.
Yeah. And you can tell, you can get an idea, from the expression on his face.
I like this Dreadmaw, but give me that 2-drop.
Yeah, look at this.
Nope.
His choices are 2
look at all these
6-drop
black cards.
dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's also a good amount of black cards here. Contract Killing in there.
To be fair, we didn't see any black in the first pack, so the person passing to Yam Wing Chun did a very good job of cutting off black. Is now going to get rewarded in this pack. Yeah, I guess he doesn't really want this card, but he's like, I guess I'll take it. It's a solid card.
It is a solid card, but yeah, it's just not the part of the curve that he's looking to fill out.
He's going to need to look to ramp.
Like, I picture a gauge, like a depth pressure gauge, just starting to go up and up the fewer 2-drops that he picks up.
Oh, that is a
Wow.
big one.
Ranging Raptors.
He's got to be thrilled about that one.
Yeah, there's also the option for a New Horizons, but given that he isn't currently splashing, I love the Ranging.
Oh, yeah, Ranging Raptors is the place to be. It's just a solid body and just get you to the late game, and he already has a lot of great cards at the top of his curve. He's got to be very happy about picking this up.
Main deck, the 2 dual shots go off.
Maybe 1.
All right. Maybe 0.
maybe 0. Depends on how much he kind of is lacking in the cheap interaction. Oh, and there's another 3-drop.
Okay.
Fill out the curve.
Oh, this is interesting. He's actually
Jungle
looking
Delver in a non-Merfolk deck.
Yeah.
Brave man.
For curve purposes, I suppose.
Got to get that 1-mana 1/1 in there. I imagine he's going to take the Daggertooth here. Yeah. Just a solid body, especially because, he just wants to play a little bit of defense and get to his kind of bigger dinosaur. So it's just excellent creature at trading and gaining some life. So Yam Wing Chun still only on 1 2-drop, I believe.
That's right.
Entire deck, but has picked up some 3s.
Everything else has gone quite well for him, I think. He's going to get a Dinosaur Stampede here. Don't look at that
doesn't really look like a swashbuckling deck. He has 0 1-drops.
I like
I guess that we haven't seen the Jungle Delver swashbuckling deck yet.
I like swashbuckling on Charging Monstrosaur. Haste.
Double haste. Yeah. We were saying earlier, unblockable, right? Double haste
because it's so fast.
Yeah, it's so fast. It's like the Flash. You don't see it. Yeah. All right.
I don't think that's how it works. Wait, don't you work at Wizards now?
They didn't give me the lecture on double haste yet.
Okay, well.
Yeah, I think that's for once
month
I do my
6.
Yeah.
I get you. Ravenous Daggertooth number 2 for Yam. So we know, and he knows, when we go to this review period, he's going to feel pretty good about everything about his deck except for the 2-drop slot. That is, and that is the most critical one in this format.
It is a huge priority for him. And so, anytime he sees even just the Grizzly Bear at this point, I think he's going to just want to put that in his deck just to fill out his curve.
Good sideboard cards again. It's weird. Everything has gone correctly. He's taking removal and bomb level cards
and
early.
Good sideboard cards.
Good sideboard cards late.
Yeah.
He's filled out his curve. As far as the 3-drops go in the middle, it's just the 2s. That's the only thing that this deck is missing is he needs to pick up ideally 3 to 4 of them out of this third pack.
Here's a good question. Let's say you open a Charging Monstrosaur and a Drover of the Mighty. I think you take the Drover of the Mighty.
That is an insanely good question. My gut says Drover of the Mighty is correct at this juncture.
Right.
You just have to get on the board, and his top end is already so good.
Just
and
all
that
dinosaurs
is the
anyway.
literal best card for his deck. He's all dinosaurs. It makes mana. He's got a high curve.
Yeah. So it's a 2-mana 3/3 that ramps you into your dinosaurs.
I don't know if I want that to happen. That decision just seems so brutal. But I will say, on the record, I would take Drover there.
Yeah.
In this spot, that's rare.
That is rare, but I mean, just looking at this deck, it's got plenty of 3s at this point. He just wants some 2s and some cheap interaction if he can find it.
Draft. Shuffle and spread 13 cards to your left.
Yeah. Everything looks fine. He's got all the pieces of the puzzle except for that. So
how many 3s does he have?
He's got a lot
6,
now.
7?
Yeah, because he picked up 2 Ravenous Daggertooth, plus the Ranging Raptors, plus the Tishana's Wayfinder just out of that last run there.
You know what's interesting? We have yet to see a single commune with dinosaurs.
That's
Both
true
of the
also.
packs. You kind of would have expected to see at least one, and it would be a great card in his deck.
Yeah, the things that have stood out to me are the lack of 2-drops in his colors, Black was open in that pack. Not a lot of blue going around the table full stop. Remember that first pack had a decent amount. There was really early, and then it dried up quickly, and there was just nothing this pack, really of note. I think Yam is in a reasonable color pair for his seat.
Right. We have not seen a lot of the cheaper red cards. Like he picked up a couple of the unfriendly fires early in pack 1, but we saw no red actually in pack 2.
Yeah, only the card he opened.
Weird. Right, yeah.
Fire Cannon Blast was kind of his big pickup. Well,
He'd be happy to just pick up some Fathom Fleet Firebrands, for example.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Look at him. He's dreaming of Fathom Fleet Firebrand.
Just thinking about the card. He's like, come on.
Just.
This might be time for the slow roll.
Yeah.
This might be time.
I think it is.
5 seconds.
Yeah, I'm just confirming the contents of the pack.
Got to count. Looking to see if there are any flip cards. All right, here we go.
Any twos for Yam?
No 2. Oh, okay.
There's Captain Lannery Storm.
That's a ramp card.
There's another Thrash.
Oh,
no
nope.
2 drops, though.
Yeah, it's a fairly weak pack overall, actually.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, this is the 3rd Tempest color that I'm seeing. So that is just something to be mindful of when you play against a deck with blue. They're very likely to have 1 copy of this card.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, too, because it is worth reminding our viewers, especially the ones who draft a lot using Magic Online like I do, that, this is in-pod play here, right? This is not a league. You will face these people potentially that you're passing these cards to. So if Yam plays against somebody playing blue, he's going to have that in his head. There was at least 3 Tempest colors floating around the table. He, of course, takes Captain Lannery Storm, a fine pickup for his deck again, but not what he needs. Okay.
Oh, it's a 2-mana card.
That, I think, is the worst possible 2-mana card, but he will be taking it if possible.
Okay.
Repeating Barrage.
You can't take a Nest Robber over Repeating Barrage. He's just going to take another 3 here.
Take the Repeating Barrage. Yeah, that card is a bomb.
It's a very, very strong card.
So this is a funny mix of slight disappointment with elation. He just got past an absolute first pick quality card, and he's going to be quite happy about it. And that little Nest Robber is going to have to go skittering away, unfortunately.
He's like, all right, can you stop just giving me great 3-mana cards, please? Just please, a 2-mana creature.
Yeah.
Ixalan's Diviner even,
Yes.
Just blocks early.
Spike-tailed Ceratops, not what he wants.
What is it?
Deeproot Champion.
Oh. It's a 2-drop, but not the one you want.
It's a 2-drop technically.
Pounce is actually reasonable.
He's going to need to take it.
It is nice with the ranging raptors that he has. It does allow him to kind of ramp and deal with smaller creatures, and it's really the only option for him currently. It's not Pounce doesn't really count as a 2-drop, though. I know it's a 2-mana card, but something that you play much later in the game.
Funny, we were begging for a 2 in his colors. He got past a rare 2-drop creature in his colors, and it's like, no, not that one. Another Pounce, Lightning Rig Crew, another Wayfinder.
Wow.
This has just been
insane.
insane.
So rough.
I think he's just going to take the Tishana's Wayfinder here because it is such a strong follow-up on 3 to help get you caught up. If you hit 3/3 for 3, usually does a good job of blocking and or at least trading with a lot of the threats from your opponent that early.
Yeah, I think that is likely what he's going to go for, unless he values this Dinosaur Synergy into Daggertooth, but I think it's a much weaker card overall, so yeah.
I think you're right.
He's going with your pick.
Get that Daggertooth out of here, Yami. We don't need that.
Yeah, that Headstrong Brute likely not making his deck.
Agreed. Yeah, good point.
He's got a ton of 3s already.
Yep, and he needs to follow up. Wily Goblin? There's a Nest Robber. Oh, there's a Fire Cannon Blast. Oh, no.
Oh, man.
All right, so here it is. This is the big choice. Because how low are you willing to go?
Oh, gosh.
I know.
I'd probably take the Blast.
I would, too.
I'd probably take the Blast.
Look, if you can just untap and start killing their stuff, that's a fine way to, come back. He's probably going to need to run 17 lands in this
He's got
deck.
lots of double red in his deck, so I imagine it's going to be something like a 10-7 split on his mana, too.
Chat wanted him to take Wily Goblin.
Wily Goblin seems a little too difficult to cast. Oh, there we go. 2-drop.
We did it!
He's got to be thrilled. I would actually, there's a Colossal Dreadmaw. I don't care. I need a 2-mana card for my deck.
Ixalan's Diviner. Again,
Show
not,
the
not
restraint.
a premium one, but if you do hit a 1/4, does a very nice job
Absolutely.
at holding things back. And we know that Yam's late game is likely to carry him to victory.
I like that restraint. You know,
I'm surprised he didn't just, windmill it on the table.
First pick, I mean, you look at those two cards, you just slam the Dreadmaw, right? And then it's just, well, I guess nobody respects the Dreadmaw. You just get one with like 7 cards left.
Yeah. So Yam did manage to pick up a 2-drop, but oh man. So that's
Is he thinking about hating this Vampire Zeal?
I think that Yam does that to help seal it in his mind that if I play against the vampire person, that could be the second one that he's seen or something like that.
I wish I had that gift, just photographic memory.
Yeah, he's just taking snapshots.
Stick a card up to the top and then just... Are we considering playing this Pillar of Origins?
You know what? That's interesting. That's a card I'm not normally very high on, but I think he actually should play it here.
You have just a ton of top-end
He's
dinosaurs.
got a lot of dinosaurs,
Dreadmaws.
and he doesn't have anything else to do on turn 2 anyway.
Yeah, maybe you just play that over, maybe land number 18, because this could be close to an 18-land deck.
It's funny. I think that was actually a pretty good pickup for Yam there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting
Pillar
to
of
see if it
Origins,
actually
everybody.
makes the deck.
Yeah.
Okay, so now
this is a hate draft.
Yeah.
Skittering Heartstopper.
Very good against kind of the red-green monsters, although he does have a lot of spot removal, actually, right?
Yes, he does.
He's got two or three Fire Cannon Blasts, right?
Yep. He can easily get rid of it. The Repeating Barrage. He's got it all. Okay, another Blossom Dryad. I wouldn't be shocked to see both of those make the cut. Relatively underwhelming card, but with the top end that he has, I could see it. Plus, he does need things to do in the early part of the game.
Yep.
And then that spike-tailed Ceratops came back. Green, certainly the most open. We saw multiple pounces this pack.
Yeah.
He even passed one because, he just didn't need it.
Yeah, I think green is just generally the color that many players have looked to kind of avoid unless you're specifically in blue-green Merfolk.
Okay.
A lot of people just haven't really liked drafting green.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Not a lot of success with white-green. I guess red-green is maybe the next best option.
Hey,
Oh,
the Wily Goblin came
Goblin.
back.
All right.
And the chat goes wild.
How many mountains do you need? Ooh, that Ryle maybe makes his deck. He's got a couple of Dagger Tooths. He's got the Raptors.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And the Ranging Raptors getting a land out of his deck is actually quite good.
Oh, it's
like he has
huge.
places to spend that mana.
I could see that Ryle making the cut.
I like this deck, by the way.
Yeah.
I totally see the weaknesses. Like I'm not, I don't have my head in the clouds on it, but I think if you're going to end up in Greed Red Dinosaurs, this is a nice version of it. Very solid deck. He's got a good curve after the 2-drop slot. He's got a good top end. He has Repeating Barrage plus a ton of removal. I mean, he can kill a lot of different
He's got double
threats.
Unfriendly Fire, Repeating Barrage, and multiple Fire Cannon Blasts.
Yeah, even Pounces in there too
Right.
that can take down big creatures. So, when you have that removal at your disposal, it gives you a lot of flexibility to try to get to the late game. The number one thing for him is, can I survive an early onslaught? That's what he's going to be worried about is, does somebody play some stuff early? And he's just looking at a handful of Colossal Dreadmaws and just says, I just fell too far behind.
He's got two 2-drops in his deck. Oh, unless you count the Pillar of Origins, I guess that could also count. But his deck is a bit clunky, right? If he can survive and start playing his drops from 3 and onward, I think his deck is quite powerful. But, there are a lot of decks that do like to be low to the ground. What if he plays against a super aggressive swashbuckling deck? What if he does play against, like, kind of the crazy Merfolk deck with the River Herald's Boons and the counters flying everywhere? He's dead.
He will lose. The card that actually stands out to me as one of the most important are the 2 Tishana's Wayfinders that he found. If he can play those on 3 and hit to get the +1/+1 counter, that will do a good job of catching him up to even some of the quicker starts.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right. Well, that was the draft. Of course, we've got more drafts to show you while the players build, and then we'll be getting into the rounds in just a little bit. But first, these messages.
Well, that was quite a ride, wasn't it? Red-green for Yam Wing Chun then. And we try to remain impartial here on the show, but I've got to be honest, I'm really, really hoping that those multiple colossal Dreadmaws get to smash in. Why? Well, we're in Albuquerque, and in Albuquerque, who wouldn't want to root 6-6? Anyway, it's draft time once again, and that means we're going to head over to the video wall. Paula Vita Dama de Rosa is our second featured drafter. He's quite good at Magic, you may have heard this. Let's find out how he drafted in the company of Maria and Simon.